I'm Mike,
And I'm Matt.
and this is The Coin Show. On this episode of The Coin Show, in our feature segment, we interview author Harley Spiller. We also talk about the coolest thing to walk into Matt's shop this week. But first, as always, the news. The news is brought to you by the American Numismatic Association and the biggest show of the summer, the 2015 World's Fair of Money, coming to the Chicago suburb of Rosemont, August 11th through the 15th. Sign up now at worldsfairofmoney.com. After weeks of speculation on whether or not the Fed will raise interest rates, the Fed has announced that it sees no need for any changes in the immediate term, and the markets responded with a late rally in metals prices.
Saw that.
Metals buyers feared that the Fed would raise interest rates, and this uncertainty was causing a slight drop in bullion prices. Now, Matt, as kind of a novice here, why do raises in interest rates usually trigger lower metal prices?
Because they actually symbolize a little bit more stability in the economy, believe it or not. And the metals are typically invested by folks that believe in instability or that
the sky is falling.
Yeah. So and banks and otherwise as well kind of use that same mentality when they buy silver and gold in large amounts. So it's a security thing. If they think that the economy is going to continue to show signs of having issues, then gold and silver should go up.
See, I don't know. I guess I come from a very confused perspective, because it seems to me that if interest rates are going up, then that's bad news for the economy. But apparently, it kind of means the opposite. So,
yeah, and that's about the way it is. And also, it also has to do with the strength of the dollar. The dollar probably took a hit because of the announcement that they were not raising the interest rate, because if they did raise the interest rates, that would show strength in our economy, and therefore the dollar would rise a little bit. So
okay, because that goes along with what a senior analyst at Kitco said, that the U.S. dollar index did weaken.
Yeah, well, that's what you expect.
And that gave gold and silver markets a mild boost.
Yeah, dollars and gold and silver are kind of like the yin and the yang. They're the opposite of each other most of the time.
I'm really kind of interested to see what Sam thinks of this one, because I'm excited. The United States Mint has published images of the mock-ups for 4/9 gold coins to commemorate the centennial of the release of the Walking Liberty Half, the Standing Liberty Quarter, and the Mercury Dime.
I saw these. I don't know if Sam even saw them.
Sam,
did you see these? I'm trying to pull up the image of them now. Do you have them on the news thing?
I do. There's a link right there in the story. CoinNews.net is reporting that the Mint plans to release 3 gold coins: a 10th ounce coin for the Mercury Dime, a 1/4 ounce for the Standing Liberty Quarter, and a 1/2 ounce for the Walking Liberty Half. Now, another aim of this program is for the coins to match their counterparts' original diameter and thickness. So these are going to basically be solid gold copies of those original coins.
Now, I'm just sitting here looking at pictures of the mock-ups. These are horrible.
Well, the only thing that I say looks bad is the date.
No, look at the one of the dime. They took a regular dime from the 40s, photoshopped it to a gold color,
Yep.
put the date 2016 on it, and then pasted AU 24K 1/10 ounce on the reverse. That's all they
Well,
did.
the
A monkey
the
could have photoshopped that.
right. Well, the AU 24K, that kind of stuff is going to be added to the coin.
And
What
that's
makes me uncomfortable is the date, because I want the coins to look exactly like the originals.
well, and that's the other thing I was going to comment is you're not going to be able to get like they use this Walking Liberty quarter. It's obviously a 17 type 1 because it doesn't. I can't. Well, I guess I can't say obviously, but it doesn't look like it has the plate over the breast, and they're not going to be able to duplicate the surfaces that those coins had. I mean, they have it on the reverse. You can look and see how it's on their mock-up. It's very
Well,
pebbly.
my question to you is the Standing Liberty, is it a 17 type 1 or is it a copy of the 16 pattern?
It looks like
It might be the 16. Look at the hair, Matt. It's kind of got the 16 thing going.
I'm looking at the beading
yeah,
around the top of it.
yeah,
It's like the differences are in the loop in the gown at the bottom and the shield. Now, these are just mock-ups.
yeah. Of course.
So, I mean, my suggestion, to everybody is that as long as they're going to kind of reproduce the old ones, I would hope that they're going to use the same fonts as the originals for the dates.
Yeah, because that does not match.
Because it looks out of place.
It looks
And
way
other
too
than
loose.
that, this is something the coin collectors have been clamoring for a long time.
Yes, we have. Big club.
And I think that the immense popularity of the 2007 or 8 Buffalo Gold,
The 2008, I believe.
it's 2008, the quarter ounce coin, which basically is a solid gold buffalo nickel, same size, same thickness. Okay,
Yeah.
it's got a reeded edge, but it is nearly an identical copy, and it was enormously popular. Now, I think that there was.
Sorry, I was just sitting here playing on my phone, and I actually found the original image that the mint lifted of that quarter, and then
Okay.
colored it gold, and
So which is it?
it was a 16.
It is a 16.
Yeah.
See, so that's the pattern strike, and that I think is cool. But you take the immense popularity of that buffalo, and they've kind of taken that page and lifted it and used it again. And I don't think that there can be anything but resounding joy.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be a slam dunk for him.
You're going to get a fair amount of people that are going to complain that they've priced us out of the market with well, you know what? I don't want them making 5 million of these. I'd like the numbers to be low.
Yeah, but then you get the speculators and the rush and got people standing in line. And
Well, you're
that's
going to
the
get
coin
that anyway.
shows and blah, da, 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 all the crap that makes me hate this modern stuff.
That's definitely
Well-
going to happen with these, I would think.
Oh, I guarantee it. Just like the
My-
Kennedys, you're going to have people standing in line to get 500 sets when there's 3,000 people in line, and people are going to trample people and get mugged and blah, blah, blah. And then
My
the big
hope-
dealers are going to pay the homeless guys to stand in line again, and then it's over,
Right,
So,
but my hope is that they actually learned a lesson from a lot of these past experiences, and that they offer these coins online. Period. Not in line, online, where you don't have the problems with with people waiting in line, with people taking up their ANA day, with proximity having anything to do with it, where everybody gets an absolutely fair shot at it.
but that won't happen.
No, you're probably right, and I keep holding out hope that people will get smart about it. But then again, they're people.
Ain't that the truth?
So that kind of kills it every time. But let's at least thus far, I have to really, really applaud these coins, because I think that people have really, really wanted them. And if you remember last episode, we were talking about, the new commemorative coins for 2017 and 2018, and I'm like, where are the Renaissance designs?
Yeah, well, there you go. There they are.
There they are. I asked, I received.
Yes, you did.
Okay, now let's just fix how people get them.
Baby steps.
June 25th marks the release of the Jacqueline Kennedy First Spouse coins. Now, due to the immense popularity of the wife of the 35th president, 30,000 of these coins will be minted, a level of availability not offered in several years now.
I was going to say that's probably more pieces than they made like last year altogether.
Combined, yeah, probably. The coins depict the First Lady on the obverse, of course, and a saucer magnolia tree on the reverse. Mrs. Kennedy chose to plant these trees in a White House garden and near her husband's grave by the Eternal Flame at Arlington National Cemetery. The coins will sell for $770 for uncirculated and $790 for proofs. I predict the first sellout of a first spouse coin since 2007, even with the additional mintage.
Yeah. Well, I tend to agree with you there, considering how crazy the gold $50 went with her husband on it. So,
the Kennedys are they're the closest thing to American royalty there is.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get it, but I don't have to get everything. I think about people, not your generation, not even my generation. I'm talking about the generation before mine, and how beloved they were to them. It's just, I don't know. And, they're not going to be around to buy this coin.
No.
And yet, I still think that they're going to sell, it'll be 30,000 coins.
Well, yeah, and like I said, the mint obviously thinks that they're going to have a big seller there because they're making more of this one coin than they made of all the ones last year. So,
yep. Yeah, if this is any sign, my bet is that with the Reagan coins, they're going to do the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would agree.
Well,
I would almost bet you.
Yeah. Speaking of which, nice little segue on my part. Also in First Spouse news, the Mint has released the line drawings for the design candidates for the Nancy Reagan First Spouse coins for next year. Now, the former First Lady is still alive at the age of 93. Next year, when the coins are released, she may join a small group of only 5 people who have been featured on U.S. coinage during their lifetime. Now, I'll give you 5 points apiece.
Oh, man.
If you can name the people or the coins.
Okay, I got at least one.
Okay.
Who was the guy on the Arkansas commem?
Oh, yeah.
What the heck's his name?
His name is Senator Joseph Robinson.
There you go.
That's right.
1937. It's actually, the Mint calls this the Robinson Arkansas $50. I think we just call it the Arkansas $50.
Yeah.
See, I didn't remember that one.
Yep. Let's see, who else was alive when they were on a coin? It's funny, I'll get the hard one, and then all the easy ones I won't get.
Well, actually, there's 2 of them that I would have gotten out of the 5, so don't feel bad. You've already gotten one. Come on, Sam, you're the researcher.
Booker T. Washington, is he in this category?
No, he was long dead.
Yeah, he was dead.
He was long dead.
Long before. They got to be on commems.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Kennedy? There was another Kennedy commem. Mm-hmm. Was she alive when she was on that coin?
Yes, she was.
There you go.
1995 Special Olympics silver dollar.
Yep.
Eunice Kennedy Shriver, the founder of the Special Olympics. Okay, and there's one other that I think you should get.
I should get. It's probably once again on a commem because
they're all on commem.
I was going to say that's where they be. Jackie Robinson?
No, he was long dead. He died in 1969.
Oh, that's how much I care about baseball. Sam, you got any? Come on.
I can't. I'm fighting the urge to get on PCGS coin packs right now.
It may be. Let's see. Are any first spouses? No, they haven't got that far yet.
No, I'll put you out of your misery.
Yeah, please.
1921 Alabama Centennial $50 features Alabama Governor at the time T.E. Kilby.
Okay.
So he was a sitting governor. Okay, and in that same theme, in 1926, the U.S. Sesquicentennial $50 featured then sitting President Calvin Coolidge.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And in 1936, the Lynchburg $50 features Senator Carter Glass, whoever he is.
Yeah.
He was, I guess, the senator from Tennessee. But those are the five. And so mommy, uh, Nancy Reagan, it looks like she will join, you know, I mean, she appears to be relatively healthy. And the first spouse design, the line drawings, have been posted on Mint News blog. Now, as for the reverse of the coin, I kind of knew that they would go with the whole "Don't Just Say No" campaign.
Oh,
Which,
is that what she was famous for?
oh God, yes, and just probably one of the absolute worst um, campaigns of all time because it doesn't really work. I mean, it just, it's a great idea. Hey, tell your kid, just say no. But it was particularly at the time during the 80s when this was all going on. It was people kind of poo-pooed it as a, well, I mean, just say no. They're drugs. I mean, they're addictive. There's got to be something a little bit more helpful. So they've got some designs of, they've got one design of her lovingly looking at her husband taking the oath of office, which I think is poor. They've got design that includes the foster grandparents program, which I think is a very well founded endeavor.
Yeah, that one doesn't look too bad.
There's one thumbs up for life, thumbs down for drugs.
It's a little weird looking.
It is.
It is.
Ooh, look at that creepy kid in the last one.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I mean.
That kid needs a haircut.
Yeah.
That was the 80s.
She looks like she's about to suck his brain out.
That maybe she is.
But you could Photoshop a straw in there between her mouth and that kid's head, and it would be amazing.
See, and I say controversy. I like the kid who has no written on his hand. No. Actually, if you turn it upside down, it says on.
Wow.
Just say on.
Yeah, just say on.
On young.
New legislation may have found our second program for commemorative coins for 2018. Entitled the Breast Cancer Awareness Commemorative Coin Act, H.R. 2722 would have the Secretary of the Treasury, and by extension the United States Mint, produce up to 50,000 of your favorites, $5 gold coins, 400,000 silver dollars, and 750,000 what?
Clad halves.
There you go.
Hey, I have to say that I think that the U.S. Mint may have found another way to make a curved coin. Just putting that out there.
Well played.
I mean, I'm sorry. Let's go back to
This bill currently enjoys unusually strong support, with over 300 U.S. representatives having signed onto the bill as co-sponsors. So you know what that means. 300 co-sponsors?
Yeah.
I think it's going to get passed.
Yeah, she's good.
The coins would feature designs emblematic of the fight against the disease. Proceeds from surcharges on sales would be divided between Susan G. Komen for the Cure and the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Now, I do have kind of a quibble with these coins, and I discussed it with my wife to make sure that it's okay.
Yeah.
Apart from their typical issues of $5 gold, silver dollars, and clad halves, okay, would be that they refer to this as promoting breast cancer awareness. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you aware of breast cancer, Matt?
Well, of course.
Okay. Sam, are you aware of breast cancer? Do you know it's out there?
Yes.
Then let's stop promoting awareness and let's start working towards a cure.
Oh, see, wow. You are a smart fella.
And a fart smeller. No, I mean, that's kind of my thing is that I think that they've gone with this whole, even Susan G. Komen is Susan G. Komen for the Cure.
Mm-hmm.
And the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. So let's stop referring to it as awareness, because everybody's aware of this disease and the plague that it has foisted upon people, because men suffer from breast cancer too. And let's I think that sometimes causes get kind of they're much better when they have a focus. And the focus generally aligns with their name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's
Fair
just
point.
saying. Yeah. So, I believe that the promoting awareness stage is complete. The Treasury Department announced last week that a woman will be featured on a newly designed $10 bill in 2020.
Oh, because this has worked so well in the past, putting women on coinage and
Stop
currency.
it.
I'm just saying, think about it.
Stop it.
Think about the last
Eh.
coin with a woman on it that
Yeah,
was mainstream.
Sacagawea?
Yeah, and nobody collects, so nobody cares.
No, not nobody.
Okay, most people don't care.
Okay. 2020 is significant in the fact that it marks the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. So that's why they're talking about doing it in 2020. The Treasury is seeking public suggestions for who they think should be featured, and you can make your comments at thenew10.treasury.gov and on social media by using the hashtag #thenew10. Now, I like the social media aspect as I feel it gives everyone a forum to be heard,
Yeah.
but I wish the Treasury good luck in sifting through the ideas.
Well,
Good,
there's no, I mean, what?
bad, and antagonistic.
I mean, the question is, I mean, is there even a clear choice? I mean, what would your vote be?
I think
Just
that's why they're
curious.
soliciting ideas. But think about this: that I see no reason why a woman shouldn't be featured, and I think that the fact that you kind of that people scoff at them even thinking about it, or that it's news that they're going to do something like that, is kind of proving the point that it's long overdue.
Yeah, I'm with Mike on this one, Matt.
I mean, I just if there was a clear front runner candidate, sure, I would probably be all for it. But who's gonna want to put I mean, we let them do that on the first spouse coinage, and who did they put on the ones that didn't have first ladies? Mike, do you even remember?
Liberty.
Well,
Yeah.
no, after Liberty. You remember?
You talking about the one that was done for the suffragette?
Yeah. See, you don't even remember who that was, and that's who they picked to be on our coinage. So why can we trust them to pick somebody that?
Okay, well, here, let me play devil's advocate for a minute, because back before the Federal Reserve Act, women were featured on our money all the time.
I agree.
You know,
Most of them fictitious, but
a lot of them were allegorical, and yeah, that's a really good thing. But historically, there are women that are well deserving of this honor. Okay, so they're talking about Harriet Tubman, as being one of the candidates. I personally have heard suggestions of like Sally Ride,
Sally Ride might not be a bad one.
first woman in space. There are others
But to
that.
replace Alexander Hamilton, I mean, God, that's
Well, okay. Here's another really cool point, though. Okay, originally they suggested replacing Andrew Jackson on the 20, and people lost their minds. Why did they lose their minds? Because the 20 is probably the biggest circulating bill in our economy, correct?
yeah.
Okay. Now here's the irony of it all. Andrew Jackson hated paper money. Okay, and absolutely thought that the only real money was copper, gold, and silver, and hated paper money because it was nothing more than an obligation to pay. He hated debt so much that he was the only president that eliminated the national debt in his presidency. So he was completely antithetical to paper money, and yet his face is on more circulating bills than any other person in history.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I think that there are probably some very good suggestions, but like I said, in my opinion, the fact that it is news and the fact that it is 1 to what, 8 ratio.
as far as what, I'm sorry.
Well, you've got Washington and Lincoln and Hamilton and Jefferson and Jackson and Grant and Franklin. You haven't got room for one woman in there somewhere?
I'm not saying that it's not a good idea. I hate to jump into something like that without a decent idea of who it's going to be. I can't tell you if it's a good idea if they're going to put like Hillary on the $10 bill.
And I think I understand and can agree with you in principle on the fact that we should not put a woman on currency just for the sake of putting a woman on currency.
Yeah.
That it should be somebody that deserves to be on currency should be on it.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Yes,
that's my point.
I think this one has a chance to be successful too. I mean, because like the Susan B, I mean, this wasn't really fair to her because that was an awful coin to put it on. Like this is actually going to circulate. Like it will work because it's a $10 bill.
Well, but then it opens a whole new can of worms that you get into that we've been dealing with since the state quarters came out, which is, now we can make it commemorative and people will save them, so we have to make more of them. And then next we'll be getting redesigned $5 bills with Bozo the Clown on them, or it's just they'll have a collector series of those, and then the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So I'm not a big fan of making stuff just to be collectible.
No, but I think that if you could have commemorative coins, commemorative paper money isn't such a bad thing.
Well, but that you know how much I hate commemorative coins.
Yes,
Modern.
you do.
I mean,
you hate commemorative coins.
I mean, the old
Even
stuff
the classic
I like.
Stuff.
Yeah, I'm more fond of the classic stuff, but
you
I mean,
can't tell me more than 5 designs out of the entire commemorative series that you thought were really nice looking coins. The reason that, in my opinion, the reason that you like the classic commemoratives is because of their value.
No, I mean, some of them are really cool. Like, I like the Connecticut with the tree on it. I like the...
But yet you don't like the 99 Connecticut quarter.
No, because it looks cheesy.
It has the same theme.
It has the same theme, but it was poorly executed as compared to the original. Is my point.
I think they should have come up with another idea.
Oh, I'm just putting that out there. I don't...
No, I see your point. I mean, I really do see your point.
I'm not a fan of making things to be collectible or for people to save them.
No, it's not an intentional collectible. You'd rather have things be collected because they're interesting.
Yes, or rare.
Right. And finally in the news tonight, the Royal Canadian Mint has issued a 25-cent coin commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Canadian flag. This coin features the image of 50 children holding a Canadian flag and the words 50 years or ans, which is French because they have to put both. 12.5 million of the coins are scheduled for production. 6.25 million colorized, with a U, 6.25 million non-colored. Canadian residents can obtain limited quantities of the coin at the Ottawa, Winnipeg, and Vancouver boutiques or through the website at www.mint.ca/flag. Now, I like some colorized designs when I think they're simple and they're pretty. I just happen to like this. I think the Canadians have a cool flag. I'm not real crazy about the children on it, but it's the flag is a cool idea, and I think that the colorized version of the coin is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean it's neat looking. Sure, I'll give it that. But once again, we harp right back to my disdain for modern stuff.
Yes, well, I don't think that they're making this to be collected. I think they're trying to make this to promote beautiful coinage.
Oh, but is it going to circulate?
I don't know. With only what 12.5 million of them, maybe not.
Well, I mean, is the colorized one going to circulate? No,
well, probably not.
No,
it's still pretty. It's still a beautiful coin.
It's cool looking, and they're trying to circulate it. I mean, they're making quite a few. So,
well, I mean, if they really wanted to circulate them, we know how to do that.
Yeah.
And that's just make enough of them.
That's right. Make them use them.
Yep. Just like the dollar coin.
That's right.
Make people use them. Get rid of the dollar bill.
We have so many good ideas.
We do. Why does nobody ever listen to us?
I do not know.
Hi, this is Bob Shippey, and you're listening to The Coin Show.
Matt, you know what the hardest part about coin collecting is?
I have no idea.
coming up with the money for big-time coins.
That's true. That is true. Trust me, that's true.
Yes. But you know what else is really difficult is figuring out how much your coin is worth.
Of course. That's
I mean,
one of the hardest
there's
things.
lots of good resources out there, like the Red Book and other books, but you can't always count on just your own judgment when you're trying to determine, the condition and the value of a rare coin. So it's always good to have like a second opinion,
Sure.
know?
Yeah. From time to time in the shop, I even get second opinions from dealers and other people that I know. So, and sometimes we even, send stuff into the grading company to get their opinion.
Exactly. Now, fortunately, there's an event coming up for people who might find themselves in that exact situation.
You mean like just regular old Joe?
Yeah, just like Wheat Penny Steve.
Wheat Penny Steve.
The ANA will be running a free appraisal area at the Chicago's World's Fair of Money on Saturday, August 15th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Oh, that's cool. I've heard about that. They didn't ask me to be on their panel of numismatists, but I've heard that they will have a panel of numismatists there that will look at up to 3 items of value and give you an estimate.
That's right. And these appraisals, they're not binding, but they're educational. They're opinions.
Sure.
You just show up with your coins, your paper money, your tokens, or some other object, and one of the ANA panelists will talk to you about it and tell you what they think it could be worth. And best of all, it's a free service.
Oh, that is the best. That's good information, man. There's no sense in sending something off to get certified and wasting your money if you could have one of these folks look at it for you.
And a lot of times you can find out that something may not be worth the cost of grading.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. Plus, did you hear what happened at the ANA Atlanta show last year?
No.
Someone came in with a 1907 St. Gaudens high relief double eagle that was worth between 15 and 20 grand.
Sounds like the coolest thing to walk in.
And they had no idea.
That's that's unfortunate.
Right. So the collector who brought it in found out it was worth a lot of money and probably was very happy about that.
Well, and the other cool thing about it being at World's Fair Money is that there's thousands of dealers there. So if you find out that you do have something that's worth a bunch of money, guess what? You can walk around and sell it.
And free appraisals are just one of the many things happening at the biggest show of the summer, like the coin show.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have something special for you again this year. And you can learn more about all this stuff. Where, Matt?
WorldsFairMoney.com.
This is James Seago with QA Check, and you are listening to The Coin Show.
Our guest tonight has written for Columbia University Press, Oxford University Press, Gastronomica, the Journal of Food and Culture, and the New York Times. He has been named one of the nation's top 100 collectors by Art and Antiques magazine. Please welcome to the Coin Show, Harley Spiller.
Harley.
Thanks,
Welcome,
Matt.
Harley.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Thanks.
Mitch.
Harley is the author of a new book from Princeton Architectural Press entitled Keep the Change, A Collector's Tale of Lucky Pennies, Counterfeit C-Notes, and Other Curious Currency. Harley, thanks for taking the time out to talk with us.
It's a real pleasure to be on Coin Show Radio.
Okay. Thanks very much. Keep the Change is kind of a lighthearted, easy read that brings one of our favorite subjects, money, into a light under which we've likely never looked at it. Why did you decide to write this book?
There's no book on the precise topic I chose, mutilated money. There's a few pamphlets, there's some information on various federal websites, and there are collectors of error currency, and there's CONECA, the Consolidated Organizations of Numismatic Error Collectors Associations, something like that. But there's no full book on mutilated money, and I have a big collection of that, and I find it very interesting, and so I thought I would share those details. I'm an educator at the Museum of American Finance, a Smithsonian affiliate on Wall Street, 48 Wall Street, the address where Alexander Hamilton founded the Bank of New York. And so I've shared a lot of my collection with the public at that museum, and the best stories have wound up in a book, and I'm very happy for that.
That's cool. What kind of pointed you in that direction I guess would be my question. Why the mutilated / counterfeit air kind of currency and coin?
I can't keep up with the big shots. The National Collection at the Smithsonian, the Museum of Finance down on Wall Street, Eric P. Newman and his Money Museum at WashU in St. Louis. I'm a regular Joe. I don't have it like that, but I want to play the game. So I found a niche where I could get unique items and learn about them and share that information.
That's awesome.
Now, was it your intention to kind of use the processes of mutilating money as a tool to teach us, more about how money is made and what makes it difficult to counterfeit?
That's a challenging question. Not directly my intention, but the way you phrase it, I like that very much, and I use it. It was look, when I get a bent quarter, it's like picking up an Agatha Christie novel for me. How did it happen? Who did this? Why? Who would make such an effort? And all kinds of questions come to the fore, and sometimes I've been able to figure it out, but unlike a mystery novel, sometimes there is no answer, or at least not yet. And so learning about this, it's kind of CSI a little bit.
Harley, I was reading through the book, and I found in the little blurbs on the jacket, I found one of the most endearing quotes. Henry Petrosky says of you and this book that you make a convincing case for treating defaced, mutilated, and otherwise imperfect bills and coins as things to be prized for their enduring oddness. Now, I don't know if if it's because I identify with being enduringly odd, or if I just thought it was a really sweet compliment. Well, yeah, I kind of am. But it really resonated with me, and the way I've always kind of thought of coins in terms of collectibles, and how the knowledge I've gained over the years I have collected has come from studying damaged notes and coins, and how much I love the very things that people feel are useless and need to be discarded. I think we can all learn a great lesson from this kind of attitude. So, in all of that long-winded thought, I kind of wanted to ask, do you feel that the process of how coins are made is best taught from the study of damaged coins?
It may well be. Dr. Petrosky is a very serious guy. He's a tenured professor of engineering at Duke University, and he's not a joker like Matt, Mike, and Harley here. He's an academic, and we became pencil pals when I read his 400-page book on the yellow pencil. And he's taken me seriously. I'm sort of the kindergarten level of his postgraduate engineering classes. And he also, so we're at the opposite ends of the spectrum, but he and I both have found a niche that no one else really swam in. And his work is the study of failure. And that bridge broke and people got hurt, and everybody screams about, what a terrible thing that contractors did, but why did it break? That's Henry's job, and he goes in and figures out why it broke. He did not think he was going to be a good engineer to make stuff, but he loved the field, and so he studied how things fall apart. And like me, I don't have the eyesight to tell you what brilliant uncirculated really should look like. But I can feel comfortable looking at mold.
Boogers and
burns, bends. It's a way studying mutilated money and things that are not common is a way to build a personal expertise and feel accomplished, even though most people might call it odd. But coming from Dr. Petrosky, that odd is not a backslap. He meant it. It's the truth.
So I guess I want to go in a little bit different direction here. I have a question for you. A lot of our listeners, I'm sure, and also my customers in the shop, always seem to have misconceptions about the legalities of mutilating money. Is that something that you would mind clearing up for maybe people that don't know? Like I always hear people say, "Oh, you can't write on that dollar bill; it's illegal," and I don't think that's the case.
Well, there are federal laws about the mutilation of money, and let me read from it. A federal law makes mutilation of any national bank obligation a crime. And I quote from the federal law: whoever mutilates, cuts, defaces, disfigures, or perforates, or unites, or cements together, or does any other thing to any bank bill, draft, note, or other evidence of debt issued by any national banking association or Federal Reserve Bank or the Federal Reserve System with intent to render such bank bill, draft, note, or other evidence of debt unfit to be reissued shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 6 months or both. For me, the key word is intent. Are you trying to wreck this bill so it can never be used again? That's against the law.
Huh.
But if it was illegal to graffiti on a bill, then I wouldn't have a courtesy note from John W. Snow. My sister met Mr. Snow at a cocktail party and said to I believe he was former Secretary of the Treasury at the time, "Sir, my brother loves money. Could I please have your autograph?" And he said, "Sure, I love money too. Can I have $1?" And my sister bristled and said, "You're going to charge for your autograph?" And he said, "No, my signature is engraved on the bill. I thought I would sign in pen and ink above it." So if that act were illegal, the Secretary of the Treasury just won't do it. I think his intent was to provide a souvenir. But I think he's a smart financial man. I know he is. And when people turn money into collectibles, they go out of circulation, or at least out of standard circulation. So if Pablo Picasso painted a little baboon on a $100 bill and you found it, you're not going to ever spend that. And therefore, the feds, who spend about 12 cents to make a banknote, just made $99.82 or 88 cents. See how good I am at math?
Yeah.
So
it's on the intent, but it gets really interesting with the burning of banknotes. You know, it's a federal law that it's okay to burn the American flag. It's just okay because it's a symbol of the United States. It's your flag. I can't burn your flag, Matt, unless you give me permission. But my flag, if I do it in a safe manner where people and property aren't going to get harmed, I can burn it and make my statement any way, any day, any time.
That is constitutionally protected free speech. That's correct.
Yes, but banknotes are different. It doesn't say you can burn them. They're actually not ours. We're borrowing them from the Treasury or the Federal Reserve or some complex chain of people of government agencies that own, or quasi-government agencies like the Federal Reserve is. So we can't burn the money, but we can turn it into art. So there's this art form in Japan called raku, where they use fire and burning to make beautiful ceramics. So if you're an artist and you say fire is my medium and you burn money, I say it's okay. The artist Dred Scott tried it. The police didn't like it. They issued him a ticket for disorderly conduct. He went to court. He had videotape. He was completely orderly. He said, "Yes, sir," and he stopped doing whatever they asked him to stop doing. And it got thrown out of court because it wasn't disorderly. But it didn't set new law or new precedent. It didn't change anything yet. But that's a gray area for sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of confusion, I think, that goes into what is and isn't okay.
Yeah, I think it was interesting that you said that the government borrows, the the money, or we're borrowing the money from the government or the fabric that it's made on. And I
Yes.
think it's kind of ironic that they're actually borrowing from us, and it's
Right,
kind of a
and
vicious
it's
circle.
incredible. Are you kidding me? I just worked for 5 hours and I have to borrow this 12-cent marker of, this chit. I don't own it. But we don't.
Yeah.
We don't own the money. That's why it's different than the flag.
And then you have bills. You have bills with like, "Where's George?" which I think it's not a mutilation. It's something that is an educational tool. It shows people how currency circulates and how you can track it. And I think that that's an interesting that it's an interesting way of doing it. You have a $10 bill in your book from the Aaron Burr Society
Yes.
that is marked free money.
And they actually gave that money out on Wall Street. They got a grant for their art form. They rubber stamped in big fat red letters, free money, and handed it out. Gave away free 10 spots on Wall Street. But where's George actually?
I guess I didn't
goes
get the memo
against-
for that one.
Yeah, where was I?
Yeah.
The law I just quoted says whoever defaces or disfigures. So rubber stamping is defacing. But they don't have the intent to make it to ruin the bill. They just want it to keep going and have some fun for people tracking it.
Sure, they're just trying to spread a message through a medium.
Yes. There's a rubber stamping going around now, not to be used for bribing politicians.
Oh, Mike, you
Well,
got
of
any
course,
of those up in Chicago?
Say that again?
No, we have no
Mike lives
crooked
in
politicians.
Chicago, so
I live in Chicago. I live in the
I was
great
giving
state
him
of
some.
Illinois, where our latest hobby is jailing former governors. And no, there's no corruption here.
Speaking of tailing, I understand that the future for anti-counterfeiting lies in the ink, and that they're developing cyber inks that are extraordinary, and you'll be able to track the person carrying the bill with some device that can read the ink.
Big Brother is watching.
Yes, and the feds have contracts available. They're online, open to the public. You can apply, and there's big money for new ideas in ink. So I think they're looking to ink and as a new technology, kind of like the blue ribbon in the new 100 is a huge uptick in technology. And
yeah. Well, I kind of feel like I've mentioned this before on the show that I kind of feel like our currency is behind compared to some other countries. I mean, there's a lot of other countries now that are on the polymer notes, which seem to last longer, and though they are a little more expensive to make, I guess. But I've always, for the last few years, thought we've been kind of behind. But I did like to see that embedded strip in the hundreds.
It's interesting. Why are we behind? They're certainly not as beautiful. France issued Le Petit Prince notes, and Giacometti's on a Swiss franc, and the colors and different sizes are fabulous around the world, really complex and eye-striking. And ours still have greenbacks and very faint pastels. But I have a theory on why we're not the leader. It's not because we can't, but there's something to be said for staying the same. And I don't know what you guys look like, but if you both showed up at your desk jobs tomorrow, bald with purple eyebrows.
Well, that's Matt every day.
The people in the office who know you would look funny. Your friends would pull you aside and say, "Is everything okay? What's going on?" So if the U.S. eliminates the penny or goes to the polymer notes or does different sizes for the different denominations, our ranking as the top currency in the world is going to come under question. Why are they making any changes? Do they really need to save those pennies? Are they in trouble? So we keep it traditional, and I think that helps keep the $100 bill as the world's most revered storehouse of money.
Huh. I like it. I like that theory. Makes a lot of sense to me.
Thank you.
Now, Harley, you tell a story in your book about a friend who worked for a major bank who disposed of bad money. Do you have a minute to share that story with her? Because I thought it was the highlight of the book. That was
Thank
just
you.
my.
And I can share the coda or whatever they called it, the story that came after that story was published. My best friend is named Joe. Honest, he's called Joe, and
He's a regular Joe.
he is a regular Joe, and he's honest as the summer day is long. He's a nice guy, and I've never caught him cheating. I've never caught him telling tales out of school. He's just a nice guy. He lived in Chicago. I lived in New York. I called him up one night. How's it going? What's happening? Everything's good. I'm making the mortgage, and I threw out $1,000 tonight. Huh? Yeah, I pitched about $893 in the garbage and went home. I was like, Joe, are you on crack? What's going on? He said, no, I really did. I said, you got to explain this. He said, I'm a bank manager. Well, every year we develop a little box in the back office of the bent quarters and the corroded dimes and the ripped 20s and all the beat-up money that customers bring in, and we gladly replace it with standard currency and banknotes for them. And we have to send that into the feds to get our money back. Well, each piece of that money needs a government form filled out for it. Where'd you get it? Did you see the license plate of the person who was dropping it off? There's a lot of paperwork to do it. And then there's a lot of banking work. We send it in and we have to wait months and months till we get the Fed response. So in order to save staff time, it's only $1,000 or so a year. We throw the money out and we actually make money because we don't have to pay our staff to calculate that and adjust the books waiting for the federal response. So that's a true story.
That's awesome.
And I shared that story with a higher up at the Bureau of Printing and Engraving, and he shared it with his boss. And they came back and told me, we liked the book, made some nice comments, and they were nice to me. And they said, but the one thing is that story, we find it's apocryphal. We don't think it really happened. So I went to my best friend, and I told him that, and he said, I'll need a copy of that email because I got to print that out and put it in my copy of the book.
Oh, man.
So it's hard to believe, but this wasn't, Chase Bank, every branch across the nation. This one branch, this is what they did. And he wouldn't tell me which dumpster it was in.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
Well, in the story, Harley is going out and he's like, hey Joe, just tell me the dumpster. I'll fly in the night. It's like
it would have bought
me.
my ticket midway from New York at that time was $150 round trip. I was single. I would have been there. I would have taken a cab to LaGuardia. I would have been there.
He would have been the smelly guy that sits next to you on the airplane that you don't really want to be next to. That would have been it.
Can I tell you a story?
Sure.
It
Absolutely.
happened yesterday. In my book, I write something along the lines of, I'll do just about anything to add a new mutilated coin to my collection, except pay more than face value, and except for putting my life on the line by going into a crosswalk and trying to get a real smooth quarter out of the tar that's in the crosswalk. and that's true. But as soon as the book came out, I noticed this penny on the walk to our son's school, and it's been there for months. And it just keeps getting shinier and smoother. And I've bent over and tried to pick it out, and I couldn't get it. So for Father's Day, the little boy was asking me, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want that penny." So, it's bothering me, It's not the fiscal value, obviously, but it's sitting there, right there, and I can't get it. So Saturday morning, 9 a.m., I pack up a hammer, a chisel, a long screwdriver, and some needle nose pliers, and I put them in. I grab a bag out of the box of bags in the kitchen, and it's a gray sack. So I got my sack of burglar tools. I got my 6-year-old lookout.
Oh my!
And we walk down to the corner, and the kid's almost trembling. He's scared, and he's like, "Daddy, you're gonna die." I said, "Well, here's my cell phone. Call Mom."
Yeah. If something happens,
So
here's how you dial 911.
Yeah, he's standing out. He won't go into the street. That's good. That's what I want. You tell me when the light starts flashing from green to orange, I'm getting out of the street. So he stands there, and I go over, and I don't want to get arrested for destroying the street. I got these tools with me, so I do just the tiniest little taps on the chisel, and the thing pops off. And I'm like, woo-hoo! The light didn't even turn orange. I was back on the curb with my kid, and we're looking at the penny, and it's completely black tar on the back, and it's smooth on the front. It just said, "N God." As if it was Nathan God or something. Just everything else was smooth. Lincoln had no more eyes. So we're excited, and we're looking at it and holding it, and I shove it in my pocket. And we take the needle nose pliers to this fence that he'd seen a couple of years ago with some pennies that someone had dropped down a hole in the fence. So we got 5 cents out of there. And we're walking home, and we bump into a friend. And we show the friend the penny, and they're feigning interest. They're not coin radio listeners, I don't think. And she goes on her way, and we turn the corner, and I look at him, and he's flipping, and he's saying heads or tails, and I'm, no, it's going to go in the, and it went in the grate. A sidewalk grate, and it's over. But I think, now I can give the kid a second lesson. I used to love watching the guys on Canal Street in Manhattan. There were a lot of underground subways there, and people would drop quarters or tokens. And these guys carried fishing line and wire and gum and
chewing gum.
Yeah, it's kind of nutty-looking old guys always. And I thought, okay, we're gonna get this bad boy. We're gonna fish it out and really have fun. But we went and looked down in the grate, and there was, I don't know, a few inches of water down in there, and it was like completely disgusting. So yeah, I had the coin of my dreams for about 6 blocks.
I was going to say, I bet fountains drive you crazy.
I don't do it. I don't do it. The mixed up files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler was that great story where the kids sleep overnight in the Metropolitan Museum, and they fund their adventure by getting the coins out of the fountain at night. No, that's destroy the crosswalk. Sure, get my hand wet and.
Yeah. Well, they'll repave the street at some point. It's that your work it'll be taken care of.
Yes.
I think that your sense of humor really shines through in a lot of parts of this book. And, one example that I particularly enjoyed was about the author, which instead of listing, for our listeners, instead of listing bio information, rather atypically shows a bill from the Children's Hospital of Buffalo demanding payment for examination of a child after having swallowed a nickel in 1965.
Now tell me that nickel's in your collection.
That's me. Guilty as charged. The
doctor looks at his parents and says, "This too shall pass."
that you have a medical degree, sir. That is pretty much exactly what happened. The book is there's a lot of personal stories woven in and out of the book, and if anyone cared to pay attention, you could pretty much figure out my resume from the book. So by the time it got to the About the Author page, there was nothing left of any general interest. But I did have my dad loved torturing me by showing me that bill in later years, and I can remember, because the hospital bill is dated, I know how old I was, but I can remember standing at my desk in my room, having been put to sleep. Not that way.
Not that way. No.
They said, "Go to sleep, kid." And I went in there and pretended to go to sleep. And pretty soon I was up fooling around with stuff on my desk. And I was 5 years old, and I thought, gee, I wonder what a nickel tastes like. And I touched it to my tongue, and you get a kind of a tang. There's a sort of a zizz or something like that. Stop candies or something like that. So I said, let me, I popped it on my tongue all the way. And the next, I swallowed it. And what I can't remember, I wish I could, was how long did I wait before I went, Ma? Maybe I could figure out how to get this up. So we went to the hospital, and not to be too crude, we used a plastic bag for a couple of days, and no, I do not have that coin in the collection.
Oh, well, I was going to ask if you remember what date it was.
They put it in a parking meter.
It was pre-1965.
That's awesome. So it started early with you.
That really wasn't part of the collection, but it fit, and it is That's my funny. Sense of humor, and I don't swallow coins. I'm hoping my 6-year-old is not gonna be so stupid.
Now, do you think that humor is an important part of good storytelling?
Oh, it has to be. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be. You can tell a really scary story that's not funny at all, but I don't know. Sitting around the radio, chewing the fat, you gotta have fun, or else I have to have fun.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm right there with you. I have at times sacrificed my own dignity for the laugh, and I do it all the time.
Look, if I didn't like humor, I didn't have to put this embarrassing situation into the book. But it's funny. So.
No, but I really appreciated the fact that it was like about the author, and there you see this bill and then the story of you saying that at that point I had wrung it all out. You left it all on the court. That's kind of a really
that's how I wish I'd had those beautiful phrases you just used. But yeah, that's what I've done. I worked hard. It was 2 years every night. Put the kid to sleep. Make sure he's not chewing on some quarters, and come downstairs and crank it out till I fell asleep. It's 112 pages, and maybe there's 100 pages of text total in there, which means 2 years. It means I spent a week on every page, which is roughly a day on every 2 sentences. That's insane. But I to get it right, there's a lot of numismatists out there, and I'm not one of them, but I checked with the pros, and I went to the library and spent days in the stacks and tried to verify my facts. I got my first hate mail out of this book. I was with Don Marsh on the St. Louis Public Radio just last weekend, and boy, you guys really should take some lessons. No, he's a smooth.
Oh man,
that hurt. Hurt.
He's a veteran. He came on the air the year I was born, and they made a podcast and put it online, and it's very nice. It's a flattering show, and it's flattering to be on a public radio show and
on a real show, yeah.
and they gave some text around the podcast, and the text was written by some studio guys, I guess, and there's a few errors in that text. So what? Well, someone made a comment on the podcast that I have a friend with the Missouri Numismatic Society, and this guy's got a lot of his facts wrong. He goes on to list 5 or 6 things that I got wrong, and 2 of them are wrong, but it wasn't me who got them wrong. It was the radio show, and 4 of them, as far as I can tell, he's wrong. So I let it slide. But
we get those 2. It's okay.
it's fun. I'm 56 years old. It's nice to save things to do for the first time. I wrote a book, and now I'm getting hate mail. It's just fabulous future ahead of me.
As long as they spell the name right, it shows they're listening, right?
Yeah, as long as they get the address wrong.
Yeah. So, do you have any other books in the works? Do you have anything new coming out?
I don't know. I do. The contract with Princeton Architectural Press says they get the right of first refusal on the next book, which is encouraging and exciting. I have a couple ideas, and I don't know what the publisher will say yes or no to. I've tried for a book since 1992, and I thought I had some mainstream acceptable ideas and some real artistic ideas, but nothing took. And then to get Mutilated Money to be the one was hard to fathom. So I have a Guinness World Record for the largest collection of menus in the world. I have over 10,000 restaurant menus, and I wanted to write, and they're all from Chinese restaurants. They go back to 1879. The whole collection
That's awesome.
I'm not kidding. The whole collection is now part of the University of Toronto Scarborough's library, and
awesome.
A feature of their new food studies program. So I thought, I've been doing that since 1981. I thought I could have a book on Chinese menus. Everybody's got a Chinese food story. But I've been unable to get that. I have an idea for a book. The title is Too Good to Be False. And it's the true stories that are hard to believe, but I swear are true. But I don't know if I'm a good enough writer, if anybody's going to buy a storybook from an unknown.
Well,
So,
I will tell you that in this particular book, and you had told us kind of before the interview that coins are not necessarily your main focus. This book is more really general interest and education, and it's just one of your many interests. That I think that the thing about this book is that it brings out your personality so well. I mean, it's just after talking to you, I get a context in this book that it just kind of rings very true with.
Thank you. That's it makes me feel good for the effort that went into it, and it makes me feel that getting old ain't so bad. I did a lot to get to this point, and a lot of failure to see what works and what doesn't work, and I hope this will keep flying for me.
Now, I also enjoyed in the end you have kind of a thesaurus of money names.
Oh, you're the best, man.
And I was wondering if, well, you just tell everybody. That's okay. Do you often receive submissions to help you update it, or do you update it?
What he's referring to, listeners, is Chapter 9, Frog Skins and Cartwheels, Nicknames for Money. And it's a couple hundred names like Bucks and Simoleons and a whole lot more. And I got a lot of them from reading books about money. I got a lot of them from reading books not about money, but Mark Twain uses the term reds for red cents, for pennies. And again, I teach about coins and banknotes, and so when I get inner city kids, school groups, I'll read this list of nicknames I'm collecting and ask them if they can add any more. And sure, a lot have come from rap songs that these kids know, and Ching Ching and Chinchilla, and there's a great one, Guapington.
Guapington, yes, that was one of my favorites. Was
George Washington money, Guapington, and then I also went to Urban Dictionary online and looked up money. I read probably 25 different thesauruses, thesauri, and looked up money, coin, and then I looked up each one of the nicknames I plugged into the internet to see if that was in a paragraph with other ones, and so it went. One of the coolest ones is Sinews of War.
Sinews of War. I particularly like Spundoolies.
Ooh.
Spondoolies, Spondylix. I had never heard that one. That's an old-fashioned one, and some people know that term.
Yeah, one of the ones that if I were to contribute to it, I would offer the term Gelt.
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 Yes.
Gelt is a German word meaning money, and it is used by Jewish people to describe the chocolate coins that the kids play for with the dreidel when they play during Hanukkah.
You know,
it's called Hanukkah Gelt.
It may be against the law to write on money, but I got my pencil out now, and it goes right between get. I like, how's that for a term for money? Get, just plain old get, and gold. So I'm penciling that in, Mike, and I'm gonna send you your prize. If listeners can give me nicknames and prove them, I send out prizes.
Wow!
Oh,
I win. Yes.
Look at that.
Well, Harley, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on our show. We actually went really long with this.
That's okay.
I hope that we didn't take up too much of your time. But we really, really enjoyed having you.
Me too. I'm all sweaty over here. Geez.
We've worked him over and we've wrung him out.
Flip him a couple Gelt, let's go.
Rode hard and hung up wet.
Yes. Well, we want to thank you very much for coming on, and we want to wish you continued success. And we really, really enjoyed the book. It is my understanding that we're going to have a couple of copies that we're going to give away.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, we're going to give them away to listeners, and we're going to continue to spread the word about the book. The book is Keep the Change, A Collector's Tales of Lucky Pennies, Counterfeit C-Notes, and Other Curious Currency by Harley Spiller. Harley, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
That is such a cool song.
Yeah.
And speaking of cool, Matt, it is time for you to talk to us about the coolest thing that walked into your shop this week.
Man, what a week.
Yep.
It's been a big week for you?
Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy week. Man, wow, this is hard to pick. Sam, do you want to kind of run down some of the cool stuff that we saw this week?
I would love to. It was definitely an interesting week. Can I tell the story a little bit of what happened?
Yeah, go ahead.
So last weekend was an interesting circumstance for us. One of our loyal customers, Mr. Wheatpenny Steve, shout out to one of the listeners.
Again.
Tipped
That's
us
twice
off.
in 2 episodes.
I know.
Yeah.
I think Sam's taking money under the table.
He loves it. Steve's a good guy.
Yes.
But he tipped us off about an auction that was happening locally of a collector who had passed away. It was his estate, and he was a really high-level collector of early copper. And it was kind of a somewhat poorly organized, poorly cataloged auction.
Horribly would be my
Let's be honest. Yeah, it was
that
terrible.
just says buying opportunity.
Yep.
Well,
But
it gets better.
It does. It so happened that Matt had the coin show this weekend.
It was the exact same time as the local monthly coin show.
Exactly. And Ed was out of town, Ron was out of town, and Evan had family plans.
Yep.
So that left me. And it just so happens, as it's been mentioned before, I am an early copper junkie. I'm actually a member of the EAC. I'm completely ate up, as some people like
That's
to
a
say.
very good way to put it.
Completely ate up.
I'm ate up. Yep.
Yep.
So Evan and we were scoping this auction out a couple days before, and we get there and we realize this guy has some exceedingly nice stuff. And a few of the things that he had were some braided hair large cents, some really tough die varieties that went kind of under the radar.
Well, yeah, we're talking like R6 die varieties, and I mean
Mhm.
some really rare stuff.
Yep. One of them, an N21, he for some reason this guy really liked the year 1846. He was actually trying to put together a full set of 1846 large cents, all the die varieties, and there's like 20 or 30 of them. But the N21 is an R6, and there's not many known to begin with. And the coin in the auction, I paid a really strong number for, and a customer actually came in the next day and said, "Why did you pay that much money for that coin?" And I pulled up some of the auction results, and I said, because when it gets done grading, it may be one of the finest known.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But you got to tell them about the coin that sent us down there in the first place, Sam.
absolutely.
And I think
Which,
this is it technically didn't walk in. It walked in that day, I guess, would be after the auction was over. But this was the coin I had in mind, Sam. So go ahead.
Yep. It was part of a lot,
Which was crazy.
A terrible thing to do on their part. But we bought a 1793 Liberty Cap large cent.
1793 is the very first year of the United States Mint making coins.
That is correct.
Correct. The 1793 Liberty Cap, in a way, it kind of flies under the radar because you think 1793, you think chain cent and recent. But the Liberty Cap is really, really tough. If you follow early copper at all, you know that you need this for a typeset. You need it for a full date run set of them, and it's a coin that just you don't see it that often.
Yep.
And this guy's was a Sheldon 14. If you pull up images of it, that's a really noticeable die variety because it has a huge die crack that just bisects the entire face. It's a really kind of strange looking coin almost, and we were sort of scoping it out beforehand because we recognized that die variety as being like it's an R5, I think.
Yes, it is. It is an R5. So yeah, we were kind of scoping it out, thinking, man, we could send this coin in, and it was in a lot of 10. Was it 10 coins?
I think it was, yeah.
And there was some other how many? I don't remember the breakdown of it, but there was some 1794s. There was a couple of 1796s, I think, 2 or 3.
Yep.
And we started going through that. After we won the lot, Sam started going through those, and it turns out that some of the other coins in the lot were R5s, or really rare stuff. So that was the unintended consequence.
This was all in a Dansko page. They sold the entire Dansko page as a lot.
Yeah, and these coins should have been sold individually.
Yeah.
But whatever. We're not. I'm not. I'm not the auctioneer. I didn't do it wrong. We just happened to be there to cash in on their foolishness.
Yep. So it was pretty cool, and it's nice to bring home a coin like that to the shop because I'd never held one before. I'd never seen one. I mean, I obviously knew of them, but they don't exist. I mean, I'm looking at the stats on it right now, and let's see here, 1793. They estimate 450 to survive in gradable condition of all the die varieties. That's not many coins to go around for all the collectors out there.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
So we'll see what happens. We think it has a chance to certify. It's on its way to NGC now. Fingers crossed.
Did this coin have an interesting edge treatment?
It has a beaded edge, which is sort of unusual. The 1793s have that, but none of the 94s have quite the same edge.
Yeah. Well, I'm not talking about the obverse or reverse. I'm talking about the edge, as in lettered or vine and bars edge.
I believe it's a lettered edge. It's the thick planchet with the lettered edge. Yeah,
that's where I defer to Sam most of the time.
It is. It's a thick planchet with the lettered edge with 100 for $1 written on the edge. So same size as this the 1794s, and I think it might actually be the same size as the chain and the wreath too.
Okay, so you are going to obviously sell off the rest of the lot, but you bought the lot for this one specific coin, and you've sent it off to be graded.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your hopes? What are your expectations?
Oh, Lord. Well, a coin like that, they do not come up very often. We were told by a couple of dealers that we deal with pretty regularly, that are national, show circuit type guys, that they think it's a 5-figure coin. And we paid for the entire lot. I don't even remember what it was. Right around $5,000. So,
Yep. With the
So on this
juice.
one coin, you may probably have doubled your money and then some, and all the rest are just free.
gravy. Yeah.
Just
Yeah. And that was just the fact of being the smartest guy in the room and
I think
knowing
there's
what
a
you're
lesson.
looking at.
I think there's a lesson here to our listeners as well. And when you started saying that, we found out about an auction that wasn't well publicized, it wasn't well cataloged, it wasn't really organized. It's like all of those things may make the searching just slightly more difficult, but the payoffs are usually there in spades because they're not going to attract big crowds. They're not going to attract a lot of attention because there's too much work involved to get down to the nut.
Yep.
Well, and we bought several other coins at the auction too that are really interesting. There's a large cent that's potentially approved, and I mean just all sorts of crazy stuff. So, not to mention, I had one of the busiest coin shows that same day that I have had in a long time. So, it was pretty crazy.
It was a wild weekend for us, for sure.
Yes, it was.
Come to think of it, I mentioned earlier, I got to correct this. Ed was actually with me at the auction. For some reason, I said he was out of town, but when we won the lot that 1793 was in, there was definitely celebration in our row. One of our good customers was with us, and me and Ed we were high-fiving. It was kind of hard to avoid because we were really happy to take that coin home.
Yeah, that's a breach of auction etiquette, Sam.
I know. This was my first auction, and I have had several people tell me I breached etiquette a few times, but you know what? Had to get them bought.
And you gave him the crotch chop and said, suck it.
Well, you know what? Sam was ruthless, and that's what I asked of him at the auction because I knew that I had a feeling that the deals were going to be there. We just needed to be on them. So,
and you told him just don't wear a Lost Dutchman coin shirt.
Oh no, I told him to dress like a homeless man.
There you go.
Yep.
John told me not to shower. I think that may have been a little too far.
This is Harley Spiller, and you're listening to Coin Show Radio.
We'd like to thank our contributors, the people that wrote to us, offered suggestions and ideas, posted to social media, asked questions, or in some other way supported or inspired us. A huge thanks to tonight's guest, Harley Spiller, author of Keep the Change, A Collector's Tales of Lucky Pennies, Counterfeit C-Notes, and Other Curious Currency. He was truly awesome and one of our favorites. Mm-hmm. As always, an enormous thanks to you, the listeners, without whom this entire endeavor would be completely pointless. Our thanks to the great folks at the American Numismatic Association for their support. Visit them at money.org. Thanks to Tony Alvarez and the Tony Alvarez Band for our theme music. Visit them at TonyAlvarezBand.com. Also, a big thanks to the Coffin Cats for the use of their music. Visit them at CoffinCatsRock.com. I also want to say a huge thank you to Sam, the man Schaefer, for research and other factual stuff that makes our show what it is.
Aw, thank you.
Sam is really becoming a big part of the show, and I don't think it would be as good as it is without him.
You're too kind.
Oh, it's true.
We still don't have a winner in our Give Sam an Appropriate Title contest. We're still going through suggestions you send in. If you have a new job title for Sam that you think fits his impact on the show, email me, Mike at coinshowradio.com.
What about Minister of Dorkdom?
That works too.
Apropos.
Also, a big thanks to our new Facebook coordinator, Andy Simonson.
He's doing a good job.
Yeah, Andy's killing it.
Andy has come on in the past few weeks, but I think he's already doing a great job on our social media. He is killing it. Visit our webpage at coinshowradio.com. There you'll find links to listen to or download all of our episodes. You can also make comments on our shows there. Ask us questions through our link to questions at coinshowradio.com. Check current precious metal prices. Read my book recommendations blog, or see pictures of some of the cool stuff that's walked into Matt's shop. You'll also find links to all of our social media pages there. Please come and share your thoughts with us. Tell us how we can improve your experience or just enjoy the ambiance. Whichever you like to do, share our site and our podcast with your friends. It makes you look cooler, smarter, and way more in the know than everyone else. So for The Coin Show, I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt.
And we'll talk to you next time on The Coin Show.
Putting that out there, I think it would be in their best interest.
Cut him off right at the knees.
That's
you
all right.
Interloper, you.
That was good.
Hey, man, I was still in the room.
He was.
I don't want to be left out.